Welcome to Levels of Connection, where we discuss how human connections work and why they're so important. Welcome to Levels of Connection. Today I had Lilly Pavlou, who's the founder and CEO of Qube Events, and she is literally the epitome of connecting. She does it for a living. So she creates events on a global basis, which facilitates people connecting with one another. Really interesting and fascinating conversation. Enjoy. Lily, it's so good to have you. Welcome to Levels of Connection.
Thank you, Stephanos. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. It's really exciting. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And to introduce you, Lilly Pavlou is the founder and CEO of Qube Events, and she is the living embodiment of connection. You know, she creates events and um, forums in order for people to connect on an international basis. And I love the fact that you're here, and it's going to be a really nice conversation. Thanks for being here again.
Thanks,
What
Stephanos.
does connecting mean to you, Lily?
Geez, that's such a nice question.
Hmm.
I think where I see connection is about creating an environment where people feel comfortable to be themselves, and there's a lot of elements that go into understanding what should be in an environment, or what sort of attitude even should be in an environment. So I think what always speaks to me when I walk into a room, or I walk into a forum, or I walk into an event, whether it's a personal event or a conference, is what is the feeling in the room, and how are people in this room able to communicate and be themselves. So Levels of Connections is about, and that's probably the platform. One of our mantras for our company is, creating an authentic platform where people can connect in a healthy and productive space. And I really believe that that is my definition of connection.
I love that. And you do that for a living, and I have the sense, knowing you for all these years, it's not only for a living. You really enjoy what you're doing. So good job doing that.
Thank you.
Um,
I really love it. That's
how were
true.
you? How were you as a child connecting, Lily?
Yeah, so, I grew up in South Africa, which is a very multicultural environment. So I think one of the advantages of growing up in such an environment is that you just adjust to cultures, you adjust to different languages. So I think that's a big plus. So growing up, generally what I like about South Africans is that they're very friendly, always open to have a conversation. There's a very strong sense of humor embedded in the culture as well. So everything is around having a good laugh. And I think people connect through humor very much in the South African culture. So I think part of the culture of, I think I would say is part of my communication style is always looking at breaking the ice and looking at how to make people comfortable.
Mm.
And in South Africa, as I say, we use humor. It's multicultural, so it's that's very much, I think, part of why I am the way I am in my personal life as well as in my professional life.
And I love the fact that you connect that the humor and what you said earlier about curating the space of of an event or a forum to enable connection more, and that shows in the work that you do. Um, how do you feel when your primary focus in your work is to facilitate the connections between others? How do you feel when you are connecting with others during those events?
Yeah, that's such a nice question. I feel really privileged. Having the job that I have chosen and the company that I've chosen to build, I feel really privileged to have the opportunity to meet all these amazing people from all walks of life. I'm so fascinated by so many different characters and cultures and just backgrounds and in interests, expertise. And I think that my general interest in getting to know people shines through in the forums as well. And I try to create an environment where everybody can have that opportunity, because I think one of the most amazing privileges we have in a community is the opportunity to meet people and share ideas and share thoughts and share stories. And that's what I personally enjoy. So I feel like forums and events should allow for that naturally to happen as well.
Talk to us a little bit also about the vision about what you're doing, because you started with, one event in Cyprus, or a couple of events in Cyprus, and now you're taking it all throughout Europe and to the US. Talk to me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, thank you. I think what is the vision of Qube? So the vision of Qube is to create communities around the world, and for people to feel connected in those communities, build their networks, build their opportunities, personal opportunities, business opportunities. Their companies also have the platforms through these events. The whole concept of Qube was always based on two pillars. So it was content and contact. So the content being, the speakers giving really like good, well-researched agendas that are current, topical, and all of that. And then also the networking side, where we would provide opportunities for people to connect in a nice environment. The way the journey went was we decided to do a bit of a road show. So we'd actually started in 2017 in Malta. From Malta, we went to Brussels, and then Brussels, Cyprus naturally came up on the map. It was our home territory. We really wanted to get the opportunity to run an event here. And we started then in Cyprus in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. So that was really exciting. And what's happened is these communities have grown, and we have clients all around the world, and we've let our community, driven by our clients, guide us on our vision as well. So what does that mean? Essentially, we're taking their direction. We're saying, okay, which market should we be in? I mean, we focus a lot on payments, regulated technologies, the industries. So where's that journey taking our clients? Where do they want to be? Where do they want to create communities? Where do they want to create networks? So our growth and our vision is being shaped by our community, which is pretty amazing. And I really love that, because everybody's got to buy in, and we grow as a community. And it's all about giving and receiving and making, bringing meaning to everybody's daily life and to their work. So I feel that our lives are so much more enriched when we have networks that are involved in our work as well, because we do spend so much of our everyday lives with work. So I like to create platforms where people are becoming friends. They're saying, okay, which event are you doing? Are you doing Zurich or London? Or are you doing Athens? And who's coming to the US with us? So it's so much fun. So I'm really enjoying that opportunity. It's driven by our community as well, and we'll continue to drive that vision in 2026 and beyond. So 2025, we've added new destinations in Europe and in the US. We're expanding. And in 2026, we're looking at LATAM, APAC. So this is part of the journey, and we look forward to doing that as well.
Excellent. And I love the fact that you're growing in an organic manner, but also in a manner where it seems like you're open to hearing about new things and about what your community wants.
Definitely. It's definitely community driven. And I think this is the best way to be, in the sense that you really want to, listen to the market, but you also want to bring value to the market. And I think value comes through really listening to the people on the ground and saying, this is where we need to be. This is where we think Qube can bring value for us. And we really take that on board. We take it very seriously.
How you described a bit the way that you connected as a child. How has that evolved, or if it's different now versus when you were, a child growing up in South Africa?
Yes, I think I've always, I think if you speak to my childhood friends, they would probably sound pretty much the same. I think that what's happened is my community is so much larger than back home, So I think the evolution is in the network. And I think when that happens, you're constantly being pulled in many directions. Like I'm having people right now text me from the Dominican, actually, while I'm talking to you. And I'm having people contact me from, the UK, wherever it may be. So I love that. I love being part of this global world that's become smaller through the network. It's just become closer. So how have I evolved? I think it's just about being very conscious about the privilege of having this community that's so respectful and so wonderful, and being able to constantly feel that you're bringing value and working to bring value. And I think the communication around that is different when you're value driven. Because when you're value driven, you're very conscious about how you communicate. You're very conscious about what you're doing to bring value. So I think that's where I've evolved, where generally growing up, you're much more free thinking and you don't look at the impact of how you communicate. So now I look at a lot more about, the effects of the communication. What value does it bring? So yeah, it's more value driven.
Okay. What advice would you give 20-year-old Lilly? I know it's only a couple of years ago, but it's a stretch of imagination. But
I say
what
to my
advice
team,
would you give 19, 20-year-old Lilly?
20-year-old Lily, yeah, it's geez. It was a blink of an eye away, Steph. Like we blinked twice, and yes, I'm more than double that now. But I've loved the journey. I think advice I'd give to myself is really embrace opportunity, move forward, always move forward. Don't spend time looking back. That's more personal stuff, like it's a little bit of a look into me as a person as well. I think that I would give advice to the younger Lily, saying, don't spend time sweating the small stuff. Just keep pushing forward. There's always new opportunities. I think one of the best lessons I've ever learned, and I like to share it with my team, is never be afraid of the no. Work towards the yes, but take the no's, take the closed doors, embrace them, because they're just leading you to the next open door that's for you. So I've really embraced that as a person, and I really very proud that I'm able to do that now, and that's in business and in personal life as well. It's like embrace the no's and just keep moving forward towards the yes.
And the team is, lucky to have you with, guidance and mentorship like that. How about around connecting? What are some things you wish you knew or you wish you did when you were 20 around connecting?
I think what I would do differently, let's just say how I would have evolved is, again, brave. I think just be yourself. I believe when we're younger, you need mentors around you. And that's why I'm very conscious with my team that are a lot younger, that I'm always asking their opinions. Many times I don't agree with them, but they have a platform. And I think this is something that one of my first mentors and bosses was a privilege of having, even though I didn't know it at the time. He would sit down with me and say, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Do you think that this is good? Do you think that this, and really get that opinion out? Because I think when you're younger, you don't have the confidence to express or even to be wrong. So what I believe I do a lot with my team now is like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? No, yes, no, we're going to go with that. I agree with that. I don't agree with that. So I do disagree, and then I do agree, and we empower each other by letting them have those opportunities of good, clear communication. And I guess clear communication is another thing. Like we sat down for a call with one of my directors today, and we really did have a very clear communication. Like, what's our strategy for 2025? What did we do well this year? What did we do badly this year? And this is a young director with not as many years as experience, obviously, as what you'd expect. But what I would say is clear communication, give them a voice, give them the feedback as well. Not everything they say is right, but embrace the growth, embrace the effort, and try. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what having or collaborated together for the last few years, it's also about what I'm seeing from you is the risk, the calculated risks that you're taking. Because I remember when I first suggested to you to do a session on levels of connection and having people interact, that there was a level of risk involved in that and how people would receive that. Talk to me a little bit about that, about how you felt about the public engagement exercise experience that now I think you've grown to love, right?
I've definitely grown to love it, and I definitely see the value in it. I think what was so my initial apprehension is again, even though we provide platforms for uh, business connectivity and for people to have that ice broken and just
Mm,
find a way to communicate to each other within an event space. When you approached me with that idea, I was thinking, wow, that would make quite a few people uncomfortable. But what I never realized was how, when people are uncomfortable together, that binds the group
mm,
even more and that just builds bridges. And that's such an important lesson. That's why I definitely embrace it. And I try for all my events to have the opportunity of someone like you to have that just, and also that change of mindset. So they're going from session to session and it's all about, this trend or this challenge or this technology. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's talk about how
yeah.
do we connect as humans? Because at the end of the day, it's only human to human that we're doing any kind of interaction, how we're doing any kind of progress. It's about communicating and then collaborating. So communicating, collaborating is, you can't collaborate if you're not communicating. And that's that first starting block. So that was
Mm,
such an important learning curve. And for your listeners, it's so valuable to understand that there's a lot of benefit by being uncomfortable and then growing together out of that.
mm,
So what changed in me? I'm always open to ideas and I'm always open to trying new things. It might take me a bit of time to think about it, but I will action that. When I say yes, it's done. And when it's done and it works, it's amazing. And I was so excited to see the value. I'll never forget the first time I saw that. I honestly got like goose flesh when I saw that whole room get up for that singular clap. Do you remember that, Steph?
mm.
And I
Yeah,
was
yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah. I remember
wow,
that.
that room, the energy in the room, it was just phenomenal. And how you
Yeah.
you 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 got that room to unite as one unit. It was incredible. It was incredible. So a lot of value in that. So yes, I was trying to establish how that would bring value, and the value that it's brought is just
Mm.
incredible. It's such a value add. I think people walk away from the events now after a session with you just feeling so, like, I use the word connected, but just like real. It's a real exchange. It's authentic. So that's what I love about it.
That
Thanks,
that means a
Steph.
lot, and
Thanks, Steph.
taking me back to to that.
So I'm
Oh,
always
thank
open for
you.
ideas. I'm always
I
open for
I love.
ideas. So I'm excited
See,
about
I
that.
love the
Yes.
fact that you were, and we're taking it to the U.S. now, so it's
Yes.
expanding the connections and the authenticity of the whole thing. I love that, and thanks for providing the platform because it's. I remember that you were apprehensive, but the difference is that you took the risk, you took that leap, which that's the real value because you were a bit skeptical. I'm like, no, just believe in it, and you'll see the difference and you saw the change that it made in the whole energy in the room and
Thank
I
you.
just love feeling the shift of energy of having 300 people suddenly just connecting over and over again with each exercise that we do. But you took me back a while with that first clap, and if you remember, I didn't warn you about that. I just
No,
went up there and we started doing the exercise and you're like, what's going on?
really.
What's happening to the room? And it
Mm,
was it was really really I love that, and I just love playing a small part in changing the energy in people in a manner where it enables them to see a different side of both themselves and the other people that they're connecting with. So thanks for believing in it and for
My
taking
great
the risk
pleasure.
with
But
it.
yeah, don't thank me. I thank you.
Yeah.
But I will say, Stephanos, it's so humbling. It's so humbling. And I don't know how to put this, what I'm feeling, into words, but I'm going to try. Um, what I find is truly incredible is how amazing people are and how much they want to connect, and sometimes they don't even realize
Mm.
that how wonderful it is. And then you see their faces after, and they're just, it's kind of like, it's so relieving. I see relief almost, if you allow me. As I say, I want to choose my words, but I can't find them. But I'm telling you, it's almost this, the,
It's so good.
the energy in the room goes through this session of like peaked interest, and then this environment, and then the ice is broken, and it's a relief, and people are just, it's just so nice. I really love that, and I love to be able to do more of that, and I think you've started something there in me, because now I'm constantly looking at the event model and thinking, what's going to change this interaction? What is it that we need to bring in here to make this
Mm.
session be better, and it's so important, it's so valuable, and it's so humbling to think how people are so open to that. They just need the right direction.
Yeah, and business conferences, I believe, need that level of interaction and bringing the humanity back to it. It's fantastic to get new information and updates on industry challenges and all the trends that are going on. At the same time, it's good to keep in mind that we're all people and we're there, for 1 or 2 days or 3 days. So it's good to, create more authentic conversations with one another and exchanging views and ideas. So we'll continue to improve it. And each time we do it together, you see that I'm doing fine tweaks and things like that. So I love to optimize it.
We're on
What
2.0
do
now, so we
you,
got we got a long road ahead of us,
yeah.
Stephanos. So there's so much to build on that, though. I'm sure that you've seen
Oh,
this,
yeah.
So I'm watching that, and I really feel there's so much to build on this, so many ways to take that. So that's super exciting for me, and I can't wait till we have even workshops on this, which is hopefully the future, as we
Yeah.
grow this. And yeah, as you mentioned, in the US as well, where that communication style and culture is different. I already told you briefly before, it's really
Mhm.
interesting to see how that communication is, how that will be all perceived and how that will be taken. I find that to be quite interesting. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think they're going to love it. The problem is we're not going to get them to sit down after that. It's going to be a lot of connecting going on. So yeah, so it's super exciting. I love that, but I love the possibility of where that's going to be taking us in the future and how we're going to be building on the levels
Mm.
of connection. I think that is super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious as to where we can take it as well. It's really, and I do agree there's so much potential with it. Talk to me a little bit about the different, because you have grown up in South Africa with such a big diversity in culture, and you have been working and traveling around the globe. Talk to me a little bit more about connecting with different cultures and how you feel about that, and how you've experienced it throughout your life.
Of course. So yes, I think when I started in conferences, I worked for a multinational. So within that company, it was so many different nationalities from all over the world. And we were immediately, on my second day on the job, we were already flying off, I think it was to Amsterdam for an event. And as we grew with that group, that company, and as we traveled, we started picking up in Asia, then we went to the US, and I found it so fascinating. I found Asia to be incredible. I really enjoyed my time working in Asia, and in Australia as well. Australia is so similar to South Africa. They don't have as much diversity in cultures, but that's not really true. They have a lot of diversity in culture. I found South Africa with Australia so similar. Even the way the country looked was similar, so how they lived was so similar. So yeah, obviously some differences, but I really liked Australia. But I was really captivated by Asia, and that's a very interesting culture. We were working mostly in Malaysia, Tokyo, Hong Kong, uh, where were we? Singapore. So very multicultural as well, but very Asian cultured environments. And I really enjoyed finding the way to break the ice there. And of course, Japan would be a different kind of culture. Malaysia would be different, but it was so interesting. Very authentic people. What I liked about Asia was how authentic they are, how almost naive I want to use the word naive, but so nice, so interesting. It's so different. I find different cultures really interesting for me. So I really enjoyed Asia. Of course, going into Europe as well, working in London, that was, of course, very interesting as well, very multicultural too, but again, a different style of communication. So I remember a friend once told me, people are people. Everyone's kind of the same. You just don't know them yet. And I feel like there's a bit of substance in that. So, and I think this is where that point about levels of connection is true, is that you can pretty much understand that people are so similar when you find that common ground, and that's very much what you do in your levels of connection, is like getting people to pay attention. And once you find that common ground, you immediately feel so connected with them. So I think that's a really good lesson for me, growing up and working in this, traveling all around the world and just meeting so many people from diverse backgrounds. And even in the Middle East, it's the same. You think, oh, the Middle East, they're so different. They're so similar as well. Like certain cultural aspects are different, but eventually when you find that point where you can connect and find like that little common thing that you have, to talk about, or that you do, or your hobbies, whatever the case may be, it's always very interesting to feel that you're so similar, right? So I've enjoyed
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
what I enjoy the most, is finding that common ground and then realizing that we're so similar meanwhile we're so different, and I love that. I really love that. I always said my passion is people. My passion is people, Steph, because I really find it fascinating to hear about, like, I have some friends in Switzerland, and I was always thinking, oh, Switzerland is that nice, used to work there as well. And then like was welcomed into their life, into, people that are clients that have become friends. And I've really enjoyed like that, finding that common ground. And now these are people that are your people, and you're calling them up as if you've known them your whole life. So I guess that's the messaging, is when you break that barrier of communication, find that common ground, everybody is a friend. Everybody has a way to communicate and, bring value in a nice way. Work aside, just connect with people. It's
Love
so
that.
nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thanks for that. And let's assume, or let's visualize that it's 5 years from now, and we meet again in 5 years, and you're looking back on your life the last 5 years. What have you done differently around connecting?
In 5 years' time, what will I do different? If I'm looking back in 5 years' time,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that when I think about, and I was having this conversation about community-driven ways of connecting with people. And I thought, now with all these tools and, access to social networks, access to connecting with multiple people, at the same time, even, you can communicate with people cross border, cross network, cross continent so easily. I think it comes back to the point of, is there a community? Is there a connection between the people that is associated with an initiative that we've launched? So that's probably my biggest driving force, is that how do we build a community that lasts? So in 5 years' time, I'll be looking back and saying, have we used the tools that we have and the communities that we have to build real communities where they feel connected, not me feeling connected, but they feel
Mm.
connected, where, you know, they're able to reach out and, you know, to different people that they've met through our networks and say, you know, this person is part of my
Yeah.
network, this person is part of my community, as a friend, as a colleague, whatever the case may be. So that would be my 5 year looking back. I'd be like, is there a community there? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, that's I love that. That's a really powerful vision to, to create that community in order to, to look back on it 5 years from today and say, I played uh, you know, a self-organizing and communicating community around what you've built. Love that.
I hope so. Yeah, we love it
um,
too. I love it too, because that brings meaning into what we're doing, Steph. That brings real
mm,
meaning, and
mm,
that's a purpose, like what I want for my life. I want to bring meaning, and I think that if you can offer people a platform where they feel there's a community that supports them, that's a very, very that would be really important for me. It would be a really big achievement. So I'm building towards that. Let's try.
I believe you are with all the work that you're doing. I think you're going to be closer to that a lot faster than 5 years. I predict.
I hope so. We're trying. We're definitely trying. Our heart's in the right place. Our heart is in the right place. And
Yeah.
there's, as long as there's heart in what you do, I think you get there. I think you get there.
Do you have a dream connection that you want to make?
Do I? Yes, I think I have several. Some of them on the political side, but not
Okay.
local here.
Okay.
No. Listen,
Okay.
I think if I have to be truly honest, I think a dream connection is a feeling. I think it's a feeling, Steph. What do I mean by that? For me, if you
Okay.
say, who's your dream connection? My dream connection is talking to people and feeling them genuinely comfortable and happy and in a place where they're presenting their best selves in the best possible way. And that sounds very
Mm,
airy fairy, but it's really, if you look into that,
mm,
it's really, again, what we've been saying all along in this messaging is just like creating that space for people to be themselves. That's a dream. That's a
love
dream
that.
connection. That's a dream connection.
Oh,
Can
very
you accept
nice.
that as
Very
a
nice.
response, Steph?
It's your response. Either I accept it, but it doesn't matter if I accept it or not. It's your response, and
Yeah, it's what I
and
feel. It's what
I
I feel.
respect that. Yeah, love that. As long it's so genuine that you can't, I can only admire that, nothing else. You don't
Thanks.
need my validation or acceptance.
Thanks, Steph.
Um,
Thank you.
what's the advice that you would give people around how to connect? Because there's some people are super comfortable with connecting, other people are not. What's your advice with all the years that you've been connecting, both personally and business? What would you advise people to how would you advise people to handle connecting?
I think what's important, again, just to echo what we've been saying, but if I could add to what we've been saying, it's about showing up. I think showing up is the first step. Like, be there. And once you're there, you have to look at yourself and just, maybe not take yourself too seriously, but just try. I've seen people sign up and are there. And I think that that's a massive step, because you'll see that naturally they're not in their most comfortable state, but they're there to learn. They're there to try and meet people. So showing up is the first step. I would say definitely show up. The second step is just be true to yourself and be yourself, and just try
Mm,
to find the common ground. I think those are three easy ways to try to, integrate and just, communicate. So yeah, I think that's probably what I've learned And I know it sounds so simple, and I wish I could come up with some other like magic formula for it. But I think showing up,
Yeah.
putting yourself there, and
Yeah.
just being yourself, and just trying to find out like what is interesting about, find a common ground to talk to somebody on. I think that's always such a great way to make yourself feel comfortable too. So yeah,
Sounds
show
good.
up.
And 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 how about if somebody is watching this, when somebody's watching this, what would you advise them to do around connecting 1 hour immediately after they watch our episode together?
I believe you should have a clear vision. So what are you trying to achieve? Are you looking at this from a personal front? Are you looking from a professional front? From a personal front, I think it's very important to connect with people that you have common interests with, or if you would like to have that common interest, try to get involved in discussions around that, and try get into communities. Try and find a common person to introduce you to get into that space. So
Mm,
I think what my advice would be there is just, look at what is your goals, what are you trying to achieve, and just look at the people around you, and also access your networks too. That's probably what I was trying to say there too. So look at the people you are comfortable with and see who they, if you want to reach out to people and you have a clear view of who you'd like to connect with, who you'd like to build a community around or network around, or for your work, for your personal life, and just try to work with that. So that's a comfortable space for you. So if you work with so if
mm,
I was listening to this and then I'm looking at how to create a network around me, I'd first look at what is it that I want? Why do I want that? And then look at who do I know? And maybe if you're somebody that is not able to say, like, jump out and say straight to that person, like, this is who I want to meet, this is why I want to meet you, or whatever the case, then try and
mm-hmm,
find a person that can be your connector and can connect you to and can help you to then get to that conversation, and then you'll find that common ground. So again, action. You have to take action. You have to have a clear view of what it is you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, what does it mean to you, and then try and find within yourself a way to break the ice.
mm,
If you're not able to do that, try and utilize your network, your friends, people in your community that know you, and you can utilize that to help you to connect with, where you want to go. So that would be advice. That's such a simple advice, but we sometimes need to be reminded of that.
oh,
I remember
and very
back in the
powerful as
day,
well.
so I forgot, I wanted to tell you something. Like, I remember back in the
No,
day, they
no,
were
no, go
saying
ahead.
just 6 levels of connection. And I think now it's like 1 level of connection, something like that. So I think when you can access your ability to know what you want, and then look at who you know, I think you can easily get to where you want to get to.
Mm. Yeah, I was asking about your dream connection. Maybe somebody listening to the episode can connect you to that but you already have a very clear vision of what your dream connection is. And I think you're already connected to it. You're just going deeper and deeper and wider. You're just expanding it. So it's really great to see you, and to see your journey all these years, the way that you've grown it and that you've expanded. So, great job. And I'm serious, when we started together the collaboration with ICPAC as well, it was this little thing, and now you're sort of expanding throughout the globe. So good job, good
Thank you
job.
so much. Thank you so much. We try. We
Um,
definitely, I told you, action. We're here for action. So
oh
whatever it
yeah.
is that we need, wherever we need to go, we're going to make it happen one way or another. So yeah, I always say to my team, if we
Lily,
say we're
there's
going to do it, we have to do it. And
oh yeah.
we do have a lot of like, if we say it, it's got to get done. So we really try and push that philosophy through as well.
Lily, what did you get out of our conversation today?
What I really enjoyed about that was it made me think about how we connect as people. I got to think about when you ask me, like, how would you give people advice on how to connect? It reminds me again of how important it is to have a clear direction on what it is you're trying to achieve, what your goals are. I really enjoyed about the chance to reflect on community and what community means to me and to the company, of course, but what was the driving force of why levels of connection is so important and connection is so important is because that's where communities grow and communities thrive, is when there's an authentic base of connection. And I love that. Thank you, Steph. That's what I enjoyed. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience, your wisdom, your insights. Amazing. Um, any last thoughts around our chat today?
Just thank you for the opportunity. And I really, if in terms of thoughts, last takeaway thoughts, I would say what's really important is to stay authentic and to really understand that, life and work and all of that is just all about having a community of people around you that you feel connected to. And that's really, really important. It's really important. And I thrive in that space. I think everybody can thrive in a space, in a community. So yes, thank you, Steph. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for participating, and thanks for providing the platform for the public engagement experience of levels of connection. And there's always a standing invitation to come to Cyprus for the levels of connection guest. But you're already in Cyprus, so I'm going to talk to you in the U.S. next time when we're there for the conference. And again, great job on what you're doing. And it's inspiring to see somebody creating community and having that vision. So, and great to be, a small part of that as well. So thank you, Lily.
Thanks, Stephanos. I really appreciate that. And I told you, I'm really looking forward to levels of connection as that grows. I'm really so excited about how that's going to also develop. So congrats for that too, Steph. And very happy to have you in our lineup, in our community as well. And yeah, looking at going from strength to strength because we have a common mission and a common vision on that side. So thank you so
Oh,
much
yeah.
for that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lily. I'll see you soon.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks for being part of this. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Steph. Thanks for having me.
Thank you once again for watching another episode of Levels of Connection. This one was with Lilly Pavlou, founder and CEO of Qube Events. Thanks again for supporting this channel and for being a subscriber and a regular viewer. Let us know in the comments below what you found useful from today's episode. Thanks again.